Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Bits video. Today I just wanted to share an article that I found with you guys talking about BYD and their Megawatt fast charging stations. They're expanding them all throughout China, and it's a pretty big deal. So let's get into it. So I'm sure a lot of you already know who BYD is. It stands for Build Your Dreams, and they are one of the leading manufacturers coming out of China. We don't have their vehicles here in the US, but they are a pretty big deal worldwide. And back in March, they showed off their Megawatt charging, DC fast charging, and it was just insane. It does 1,000 volts, 1,000 amps, and it can charge a car in like 5 minutes. So it's just absolutely insane, especially coming from here in the United States, where we get like 10% of that. So it's just absolutely crazy. So they already have 500 of these DC fast chargers in China, and now they are going to be expanding them to over 15,000 of these stations. So they only have 2 cars right now that launched in April that can take advantage of this fast charging. It is the Han L sedan and the Tang L SUV. So both those launched in April, and it says here that both models sold over 10,000 units in their first month on sale. So I mean, that just shows how the consumers in China love the fast charging. They can, charge from 0 to 100 in like 5 minutes. So they have sold very well, and now they are just expanding their fast chargers all throughout China, so a lot more people can take advantage of these chargers. Okay, so they collaborated with, I'm not even going to try to say these names, but this charging and Longshine, I can say that. So they are going to be upgrading some chargers in China, and they're also going to be building more chargers in China just to be able to reach this megawatt standard. Also, in some places where grid limitations and things like that are a problem, BYD plans to equip these stations with energy storage systems, so all of the customers can get the megawatt charging regardless of wherever they're at. So just comparing this megawatt charging to kind of what's out there already, if you look here, especially in the US and even some in Europe, here in the US we're just now starting to build 400 kilowatt DC fast chargers and have those readily available. In Europe, they're working on like 600 kilowatt chargers, and now it seems like there's a race in China for fast charging. So BYD is working on this megawatt charging. Huawei is working on even faster charging. And so there's just a lot of competition brewing in China just to see who can have the highest numbers. And it's awesome. It's good for the end consumer. So China's EV market is just rapidly advancing in EV technology. They have other companies like Huawei, like I mentioned, NIO, who does the battery swapping in China and Europe, and Xpeng. They're all just pushing the boundaries for fast charging, battery innovations, and things like that. So what this could mean for just EV adoption, as you probably already know, EV adoption in China is already very good. They're not having the same problems like we are here in the US. But I mean, this would just reduce almost any argument that you could have for having an EV. So just being able to charge from 0 to 100 in 5 minutes, adding about 250 miles of range in 5 minutes. I mean, that's very comparable, if not better, than just filling up your car with gas. So, just long term, this could be massive for, I mean, it could start in China and it could trickle down here to the US eventually, I hope. That would just be awesome. Something else that you should consider is just the commercial impact. So faster charging in EVs could just benefit commercial fleets, taxis, ride sharing, enhancing operational efficiency. It would just be awesome to have these chargers here in the U.S. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of competition in China, and so it shows here that BYD is not the only Chinese automaker who is building these ultra-fast stations. So I mentioned companies like NIO and XPeng. So XPeng has already deployed 480 kilowatt chargers in China, and its goal is to reach 800 kilowatts with its next generation of chargers. So as I mentioned, here in the US we're at about 400. In Europe they're at 600-ish, and then so they're already working on 800 and 1,000 kilowatt chargers. Another company that is popular in China is Zeekr, which is a Geely-backed automaker. So they make Volvo that we would know here in the U.S. And we've showed off on the Out of Spec channel the golden brick battery, and so it's just crazy how fast those can charge. You can go check those out on the reviews channel. But Zeekr is working on a 1.2 megawatt charger, and as I mentioned, Huawei, they're working on a 1.5 megawatt charger. So China's just so far ahead in terms of batteries and charging and everything, especially compared to here in the US. And so it's fun to look at it here from across the world, just to kind of see what they're doing, what the limits of technology is, and I love all the news on anything China. I think it's awesome. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about this. Do you think this will ever come to the US? If so, when? And yeah, I can't wait for technology like this to just make it our way and be able to just experience recharging even faster.
So, great commentary by Cameron there, and I wanted to add a few things. You know, we do have technically megawatt charging rolling out in the US, but it's for the commercial aspect exclusively. You know, Cameron was like, well, I can't wait to see the commercial aspect of this. I can't wait to see the passenger aspect of this. We do have megawatt chargers rolling out for semi-trucks. Tesla, of course, is also adopting, kind of helped implement it early on, but now is adopting the universal new megawatt standard, which I think is like version 3 or something at this point, by the time it's finally truly implemented. So megawatt charging for semi is much needed because of the giant battery pack size. For cars, I don't really think it's needed, but like, hey, that's cool. Like if you can charge in 5 minutes, amazing. Now, I kind of believe it when I see it, especially 0 to 100. Not super sure because typically the charging curve does have to taper to protect the battery. So what are the ways around this? I mean, do the batteries have big buffers, or are we just zapping batteries? You know, I've had this commentary for a while of, you know, all these Chinese cars are getting huge headlines for crazy charging speeds and really impressive repeatable speeds, but we don't have all the data of long-term reliability on, especially these brand new Zeekr packs, the golden brick battery, etc. So curious but excited. That's the combo of my feelings towards this. So shout out to Cameron and of course the Inside EVs article that we like to read. You know, a lot of people are posting articles on this stuff, but I do say Inside EVs is one of my go-to for news. So always nice to see what those guys are working on, and stay tuned for more.